As I said in the short that I uploaded today, Chuck Schumer's comment, unbelievable comment, encouraged me to do this. I have been wanting to do this video for a while, but I just didn't. But yeah, it's there. Like I said, something drastic has to happen for these people to take us serious, because it's obvious that they don't take us seriously. I believe the drastic thing is going to happen. I'll be back. Hey folks, I'm back. Thank you for joining me. Those who are returning, those who are new, welcome. Let's jump into this. What's so sad is I could just see them trying to put a spin on this, refusing to take accountability. That word that I said in previous videos, I cannot stand, because as I said, the people who are always shouting accountability, I believe, are the ones who lack accountability. And I could just see the Democrats putting a spin on this, blaming everyone and everything. They would even blame their pet dog for not standing up. And as I said, you cannot justify that. You can't blame it on, well, we didn't want to show, we didn't want to show that we were supporting Trump because he said this, because he said that. No, it was not about supporting Trump. It was about supporting the people who supported you, who rarely get support back. Now, I am talking about American citizens, no group in particular. I believe this government takes so much from us and gives nothing in return. Nothing. Do you see how they take money, your taxes that you guys pay, like paid slaves? And I'm not trying to be funny or derogatory. I'm just telling you straight up. They take your money, put it in this big, huge bank, get billions, trillions of dollars from us, and then they monitor our money like it's theirs. Like, no. We can't do this. We cannot give taxpayers, American citizens. No, we can't. That's just ludicrous. Why would we give them money? Fool, it's our money. This government wouldn't operate the way it does if you weren't taking taxes from us. And you guys let them do it. You let them. It's just like having a bank account. You put your money in your bank account weekly, monthly, whatever, and then somebody else is coming in monitoring how you spend, telling you how much you could get, and telling you when you can, telling you can't get anything. And we take this. And I was told years ago that the IRS is not even a government entity, that is private. And they'll lock your ass up real quick. You could be a serial killer. They won't indict you and convict you on being a serial killer, but they will get your ass for not paying taxes. That's how diabolical it is. Take our money and then put us in a chokehold. And then when you need something, you go to these government agencies and ask them for help. It's like they looking at you like you stupid. Are you crazy? Money don't grow on trees. Well, these government agencies, that's the attitude they give us. But when you think about it like this, these government agencies would not exist and would not function without your money. Ugh, you know what? Let's get on with like I said, Schumer just caused me to have that, sent me on that tangent. Just him and his ignorance, his stupidity, his arrogance. If you ask me who I would trust, a crooked pastor or a politician, I would ask you, what's the difference? Let's get on with this content. Okay, I can't remember when. I know I started working on this last year sometime. But I have been thinking. That's what I do. I do a lot of thinking and thinking. And I was thinking, well, what would happen? What would happen if this occurred? What if in a single moment, a cornerstone of American identity just vanished? Not a building, not a monument, but a people. The day Black Americans stop contributing economy, culture, art, innovation, or policy impacts, all the contributions of Black America as we know it ceases to exist. You know, those who take it lightly and be like, oh, y'all ain't did ish anyway. So what contributions if every single thing that our people contributed to, past and present, just was snatched up out of this country, snatched up out of the world? How would that go? What would be the end results? Just like imagine if you live with someone and the majority of the things in that house is yours. And then when you split up for whatever reasons and you take all of your things out of that house, you see how empty that house is. That's how this country and world would look. But they're so arrogant, so entitled, so insecure, they don't even see it until it happens. Let's continue. Now, this is a thought, an experiment. It's an attempt to really see the pillars that hold our society, our culture, and our economy. For centuries, Black Americans have been integral to the nation's fabric, creating wealth, art, and progress, often without credit or celebration. Their influence is so deeply embedded in the American experience that most people don't even see it. It's in the songs, on the radio, the slang in our conversations, the tech in our homes, and the very ideals of liberty we strive for. So, what would actually happen if all of that just stopped? The fallout would be more immediate, more catastrophic, and more world-altering than you can possibly imagine. The first and most immediate shockwave would be cultural. It would start as a deep, unnerving silence. The playlists that form the soundtrack of our lives will fall quiet. Genres like R&B and hip-hop, which hold a commanding 25.3% share of all on-demand audio streams in the U.S., will simply evaporate. The top of the charts would be unrecognizable. In 2024, one of the top most streamed songs in the U.S. were Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar. In this new world, it's gone. But this isn't just about losing a few hit songs. It's the erasure of entire musical bloodlines. There is no rock and roll without Chuck Berry and Little Richard. And let's not forget, I don't know why they don't mention her, Sister Rosetta Tharpe. Let's not forget her. There's no jazz without the innovations born in Black communities of New Orleans. There is no blues, no gospel, no Motown. Music is deeply tied to cultural identity for Black Americans and through their expression. It has become a core part of the American identity we export to the world. The global cool factor, it vanishes overnight. That's crazy how you can go to another country. They might not speak English, but they'll know your song. Then the screens will go dark. Hollywood will become a shadow of itself. Landmark films like Black Panther, which didn't just break box office records, grossing over $1.3 billion, but also shattered cultural stereotypes, would never exist. By the way, Black exploitation movies revitalized Hollywood. It brought it out of a slump. And we found out, those who saw the Tyra Banks Top Model documentary on Netflix, UPN 13 was on its way down. And when Tyra Banks came in with her idea to do America's Next Top Model, that revitalized the whole network. You see how many times we come in and bail these people out and they still come with the arrogance and the nastiness? God, what is that? That's just like somebody's drowning and you jump in to help them or throw them a lifesaver to help pull them up, and then they get out and look at you and slap your hand away like, I could help myself. That's how this country acts towards. Oh my God, let's go on. We wouldn't just lose blockbusters, we lose the vital, brilliant stories that challenge and expand how we see the world. Critically acclaimed films like Jordan Peele's Get Out or Cord Jefferson's American Fiction would be absent, leaving a massive void or originality in social commentary. The economic hit would be huge, but the cultural loss would be immeasurable. We lose the genius of filmmaker Ryan Coogler and the powerhouse performances of actors like Viola Davis, who continue to fight for black voices to be heard. This cultural desert would stretch into our digital lives. Black creators and consumers are the trendsetters, driving the conversations that shape what goes viral online. In 2024, Black Americans consume media at a staggering rate, averaging 84 hours a week across digital media, TV, and radio. This isn't passive consumption, it's active engagement that makes them powerful influencers. The viral dances, the memes, the slang, and the challenges that start in the black community before spreading to the mainstream would just stop. The internet would become sterile, less dynamic, and way less innovative. Without the people who so often define what's next, American pop culture would lose its creative engine. Remember around 3 years ago? Was it 3 years ago? When black women stopped creating content on TikTok. They stopped doing dances because it kept getting stolen.
Black TikTok creators are not feeling the love, so they're striking.
They're the viral dances.
Everybody is just kind of scratching their heads, looking and watching these train wrecks.
But at the time, no one was crediting the dance's creator, Jalea Harmon, then just 14 years old.
Market it off to other groups. They would take the credit. They would find some obscure TikToker, like Black Young Girl, what have you, take their dances or songs and go make it viral. Or get paid, they pay somebody to make it viral and they ignore the person they stole it from. Remember that kept happening and black women was like, we're done. We're not gonna give you any more steps that you can take and make $1 million off of with your stale, bland self. And people were begging for black women to come back and create dance steps to the latest, hottest track. Yeah, I know you guys remember it because I remember it. I hated that y'all went back. I was like, why you just cannot make a stand? Stop giving these people your creative genius that God blessed you with and you get nothing back. You don't even get crumbs off the table. Stop giving these people your creativity who don't appreciate you. And then they walk around like they create. Oh, God, let's go on. The silence from our radios and screens will soon be drowned out by the sound of an economy grinding to a halt. They claim that black Americans make up around 15% of the U.S. population, which I believe is a lie like everything else they say about us. I keep saying they love to play mental games. I don't believe it. I never believed it. Even when I was in junior high school and high school and I started hearing that ridiculous number, it just never sat well. It was like, what? Because if you look at the biblical days, and I strongly believe and keep saying the Bible is our history, we outnumbered the Egyptians. They were terrified. So if we were that small, why are they so terrified? Come on now, y'all got to think. And then the way they get the numbers is by the census. And I was told years ago that black Americans don't trust the census. They don't participate in the census. That's why they don't have an accurate count of us. Because there's some black Americans who stay away from this government. They have nothing to do with it. So how are you getting an accurate number of us? And there's nothing you can say to convince me that we are only 15%. Come on, wake up. For real. The people who have been lying to us for centuries, you believe that? If you believe that, I got a bridge I can sell you. Let's go on. You got the point. Their sudden absence would create a devastating economic vacuum. The first tremor would hit the workforce. The entire U.S. labor market would shrink in an instant, creating severe shortages in critical sectors. Consider this: as of 2022, over a quarter of all black-owned businesses were in the healthcare and social assistance sector. Black workers are also a vital force in industries like transportation and warehousing. Even the federal government would be crippled, as black employees made up 18.7% of its workforce as of May 25. This isn't about statistics, it's about the essential services that keeps the country running suddenly being unmanned. Next comes the consumer spending collapse. Black buying power is a massive economic force, projected to hit nearly $2 trillion by the end of 2025 and more than $2 trillion by 2026. An abrupt end to the spending would trigger a catastrophic recession. Retail, media, food services, you name it, would face a crisis they couldn't have planned for. Imagine major corporations losing a huge slice of their most engaged consumers overnight. The impact would be swift and brutal. Beyond just buying things, the engine of entrepreneurship would sputter out. Black-owned businesses have been a huge driver of economic growth. Between 2017 and 2022, the number of black-owned employer firms shot up by nearly 57%, pouring over $211 billion in revenue into the economy in 2022 alone. Black women especially have been starting businesses at a faster rate than any other group. This entrepreneur fire means jobs, innovation, and community wealth. Its disappearance wouldn't just erase billions in revenue, it would kill future growth before it even has a chance to start. I said in another video, I was listening to this live on YouTube, and this man was entertaining a caller. I felt like he was entertaining his nonsense too damn long, and I left. I was like, if you're gonna keep listening to this fool, why would I want to, So I stopped listening. But he said, I can't remember what the host of the live said for this guy to say that, but he was like, and then black people want to talk about having a 2 billion, almost 2 trillion, almost 2 trillion buying power. He was like, that's nothing. White people have 200 trillion. And then I was like, wow, that's such a low blow. But then I thought about it. I was like, no, our buying power is greater than theirs. And let me tell you why. You mathematicians are like, what the hell is she talking about? How is almost 2 trillion greater than 200 trillion? I'm going to tell you. Because of the method of which we achieve that. Okay, if you spent 500 years trying to oppress someone in every way you could, and then you built a system to actually be your saving force, you built a system to cater to your every need, of course you're going to have the bulk of the money. I mean, that's a given. But I spent centuries trying to oppress someone, and the things I did to them financially, they shouldn't have $2 to rub together. But here we are, the richest out of all the melanated immigrants in the world. And our people were bound and enslaved, and horrific things were done to them physically and mentally and spiritually. And we're still here. And some of our people amassed fortunes right after slavery. Literally. Look up the and I'm going to keep mentioning the Freedmen Bureau. Look up the Freedmen Bureau and how much money our people amassed right after slavery. They literally had millions in that bank. And do you know what million? I think it was $1 million or $2 million. You know what that was back in the 1800s? And that was after slavery. And if they didn't interfere the way they do all the time, even today, we would be the richest people on earth. And they know it. That's why they've done everything they could to hinder it. That's why it's nothing for them to go help Asians. It's nothing for them to help Hispanics. It's nothing for them to help melanated immigrants who come from another country, because they're not a threat to them. They're not a threat. But the whole world imitates, follow us, and hate us at the same time. You cannot convince me or tell me we're not chosen. Let's go on. And all of this touches on the foundational issue of wealth. What'd I just say? The racial wealth gap is a documented injustice that they don't even care about fixing. What is it like? I don't even want to look it up. Was it like Black Americans supposedly earn a household, they get like $8,000 or something, and white households get like 60? That is atrocious in itself right there. That's sick. Let's go on. But the collective wealth held by Black Americans is still a critical piece of the national economy. A 2020 report from Citi was eye-opening. They estimated that if the U.S. had closed racial gaps 20 years prior, it could have added $16 trillion to the economy. Looking forward, they projected that closing those same gaps could boost the GDP by $5 trillion over the next 5 years. And I thought experiment, we don't just miss out on that potential. We feel a massive contradiction that proves just how deeply connected every part of our economy truly is. Now, you see how they cut off their nose to spite their face? You think you're hurting us when you sabotage us financially. You deny us bank loans, and then you give people that just came to this country resources up the ass. As I said in the other videos, that the American Medical Association had to come out in 2008 and apologize for hindering Black American doctors. That's why we don't have that many. It's not because we lack the intelligence. It's because of critical race theory. Why do you think they came so hard against critical race theory? If it was a figmentation of Black Americans' imagination, why you come so hard against it? That's just like coming hard against somebody who believes in Santa Claus. It's like, oh my God, just let the imbecile believe there's a Santa Claus. You know, there's nothing we can do. If they want to believe there's a Santa Claus, that's it. You don't have to go hard in the paint against them. But they went hard against critical race theory. You know why? Because it exposed something they wanted to hide. As I said in another video, it was a group. I don't know if they were Black Americans, but it was a group of Black men that tried to buy this mall over here in the Crenshaw district. It was called the Baldwin Hills Mall, for those who are not living in Southern California. They were trying to buy the mall, and they wanted to revitalize it, and they wanted to put affordable apartments inside. Create affordable apartments on the property. They wanted to revitalize the area, right? They refused to sell it to them, and I heard they sold it to some Jewish men. You see what I'm saying? And that's not the only time this has happened. You know, look what happened with Bill Cosby. He wanted to buy the network, Channel 4 network, and then look what happened to him. See how they want to just always do things to try to oppress us and keep us under them, because they know they get filthy rich, but everything comes to an end. Let's go on. Beyond the culture and the economy, America would suffer a profound moral and social collapse because historically Black Americans have acted as the nation's conscience. That's what somebody said. I was listening to their video, and they said that when we come in and say something is wrong, it's wrong. It's like we put the stamp on it, like, no, this is unfair, this is inhumane, this is immoral. Let's go on. Because historically, Black Americans have acted as the nation's conscience. From the abolitionist movement to the civil rights struggle, Black activists have relentlessly forced America to look in the mirror and confront the hypocrisy between its founding ideals and its lived reality. No, America is great. America is great. And then you hide in all the filth and disgust behind this beautiful curtain. when they want to ban our books, when they don't want to talk about black history in school. Do you know when you do that, when you try to hide and take something from a person, it only makes them more curious. So you don't want them to learn in school. You don't want to teach them the truth, so now they're going out somewhere else searching for it. So that wasn't smart, was it? What you guys did. It wasn't smart. You're just making them more curious. Let's go on. The fight for equality isn't some closed chapter in a history book. It's happening right now. Social justice movements have broadened our understanding of rights and liberties for all citizens. The legal battles won, the protests organized, and the moral stands championed by black leaders have set precedents that protect every marginalized group in the country. That's why we will not continue to tolerate your disrespect. When our people worked hard to fight for laws and justice for us, which help everybody, and then you think you're going to come keep stepping on us, talking to us crazy? You think you're going to keep doing that? Like I said, don't take our stance as weakness, because I really, personally, the way I feel, I really don't want my black people to break on y'all, because it's going to be too much. You think nuclear bombs are too much? This will be too much. Y'all better leave them alone. The rage is in the soil. The injustices, the rage from the injustices that continue to happen for hundreds of years is in the soil, and it's just waiting to be ripped open. So y'all better stop. I'm talking to you immigrants too. I'm talking to Hispanics. I'm talking to melanated immigrants. I'm talking to Asians. I'm talking to Indians. I'm talking to all y'all. Y'all better chill out, especially you racists. Because y'all gonna get it worse than anybody on the face of the earth. And that ain't just something coming from me. That's a fact. That's something I know. Seed sown, you reap. That's a principle that no one can avoid. Let's go on. Without those voices, who would hold power accountable? Because we see nobody else doing it. You see these other immigrants don't hold these people accountable. When we fight, everybody benefits from it. That's why we're standing out of this. Like, no, you're not going to keep using us and then turn around 5 minutes later and call us the niggers. We not doing that. You get your ass out there and get punched up and thrown in jail. You deal with it. Let's go on. Who would keep pushing against systemic injustice? Like I said, who? So let's go on. The progress we've seen in voting rights, criminal justice reform, and workplace equality wasn't just handed over. It was demanded. We fought for this. That's why you're not going to continue to disrespect us. I feel like we let it go on too damn long. Y'all got beside yourself. Let's go on. It was born from the struggle of a people who, facing unbelievable oppression, refused to let the nation forget its promise of liberty and justice for all. In their absence, the engine of progress will fall silent. The moral arc of the universe, which Martin Luther King Jr. famously said bends toward justice, doesn't bend on its own. It's bent by the tireless efforts of those who dare to demand a better world. Without black Americans, that arc might not just straighten, it could bend backwards. That's why, a lot of us say, if it wasn't for our civil rights and us fighting and demanding, they didn't give it to us. They didn't just give it to us. I think that was a part of, in the 60s when all those riots were happening, black frustration. I did a video where it's the Kerner Report. I implore you guys to check it out. The Kerner Report was conducted in the 60s. They did a report. It went around to all the low-income, poor communities where black Americans lived, and they surveyed them. They asked them what was going on. They actually listened to them, and they came back with the report saying that the problem with black Americans was racist or racism. So I think that was part of the reason why the civil rights came about. We demanded civil rights. They didn't just say, hey, you know what? I'm feeling great today. How about we do something for the Negresses? No, that's not what happened. So that's why we say you guys benefit from these. And then a black man came in my comments one day saying that black Americans didn't, you know, fight for civil rights to also help immigrants come over here. He said basically, like, we didn't do that. That wasn't our intentions. We were fighting for civil rights for ourselves. That's what he was saying. He said that the Democrats are the ones who put that in there. And I believe it. Look how they act. I believe it. I believe they used us. And then it was like, well, hey, let's get something out of this. And they threw that little clause in there that opened the door for immigrants to come here. But in the end, it still was us, regardless. So, well, that's what he said to me. I never really did research because either way, regardless of how it happened, that door was still open through civil rights, something that we fought for and demand for, and some of our people actually died for and got beat and spit on and attacked by dogs. And that's where I would have drawn the line. You cannot even look like you gonna spit on me. You gonna have a world of a problem. Your parents are going to be seeing you in a hospital with no teeth. You better keep that spit in your mouth. I think that's the most deplorable, sickest thing you could ever do in life. Nobody know what you have. Let's go on. So, what happens on the day black Americans stop contributing? Music dies. The economy craters. The nation's moral compass shatters. This thought experiment reveals a truth that can't be denied. Black Americans isn't some separate part of the United States. It's the bedrock. Its contributions aren't just additions to American culture. They are its foundation. The resilience, the innovation, and the spirit of black Americans are woven so deeply into the fabric of this nation that to remove them would be to unravel the entire tapestry. That's what you guys gonna. It's gonna be some hard lessons. You know what happens when people take advantage of things, stop and they don't learn. It's gonna be a hard lesson. It's gonna happen. I'm telling y'all, it's gonna happen. I don't know when, but it's gonna happen. It might happen this year. You see how tough this year started. We're not even in the third month of the year. So, that's about it, folks. I'm about to shut down the shop. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for liking, sharing, commenting. Sharing is caring. I have to get up out of here and go take care of some business right quick, right fast. But thank you again. And I will definitely see you guys in the next video.